In this video, I'm going to go through 6 commonly used phrasal verbs to help you score higher in your IELTS speaking. Even if you're not taking an IELTS test, phrasal verbs are really important, so watch this video. Hi, I'm Charlie from Organic English. I'm going to help you become more fluent in English. Today I've got 6 great phrasal verbs that will help you in the speaking section of your IELTS test. First things first, what are phrasal verbs? Phrasal verbs are phrases, and they're made with a verb and one or sometimes 2 other words. The other word is usually a preposition. Here's an example. Give up. I want to give up Facebook. Here it means to stop doing something or stop consuming something. Now, as you can see, the meaning of the phrase is different from the meaning of the actual words that make up the phrase. As you know, give means to hand something to someone. Up means towards a higher position or place. So, phrasal verbs are idioms. We can't figure out the meaning of the phrase from the individual words that make up the phrase. The meaning of the phrase has become accepted by being used frequently in English by English speakers. And that makes them really hard to learn. You just have to learn them, preferably in context, and by using them over and over. There's no logic, there are no rules that I can teach you. We use phrasal verbs all the time, both when we speak and when we write. And we use them without thinking. We just slip them into conversation naturally. And you might misunderstand what someone is saying if you don't know or recognize that phrase. And that's why they're important to you as an English learner generally. If you're taking the IELTS and you want to get a 7 or higher, it's important that you're able to use idiomatic language, such as phrasal verbs. Let's take a look at the IELTS band descriptors from the actual official IELTS website. You can see that using idiomatic language is really important to getting into band 7, 8, and 9. Someone who can use phrasal verbs naturally shows that they have a good command of the English language. Now, as with any new vocabulary, you have to be careful with the way you learn them. You need to be able to use them in a natural way, so you have to learn them in context. If you just learn some phrases and try and fit them into your speaking or writing, and you don't know how to use them properly, it could sound unnatural, and you might make mistakes, which will definitely be picked up on by the examiner. Today, I'm going to go through 6 commonly used phrasal verbs to help you score higher in your IELTS speaking. First, we'll hear them in context, in a question and answer, just like in part 1 of the IELTS speaking test. Take a look. Here's the information from the official IELTS page about part 1. The examiner will ask you questions about yourself and a range of familiar topics such as home, family, work, studies, and interests. After we've listened to the Q&A, we'll then go through the phrasal verbs and we'll check your understanding. So here's question 1. What do you normally do at the weekends?
I usually just hang out with my friends. We'll go to the cinema or something. Unfortunately, I don't get the chance to catch up with them often as we're all so busy with school.
The 2 phrasal verbs we heard, did you pick up on them? They were hang out, which means to spend time relaxing. It's a very informal phrase. And the second was catch up with. That means to meet someone after a period of time and find out what they've been doing. Let's look at that second phrasal verb. Catch up with is one of those phrasal verbs that is made up of the verb and 2 prepositions, up and with. Let's move on to question 2.
Do you have a healthy lifestyle?
I don't think I really do. Something I definitely need to do is cut down on the amount I smoke, or even give it up completely. I'd also like to cut out sugar from my diet. These are both really unhealthy. I found out recently that my father has cancer, and he smoked a lot when he was younger.
In the second Q&A, we heard 4 phrasal verbs. Did you pick up on those? First one was cut down on, which means to reduce, simply. Second, give something up, which means to quit or to stop doing it. Cut out, stop eating something permanently or for a long time. And find out, to discover. I want to cut down on the amount I smoke. I want to cut down on the amount I smoke. He wants to smoke less. Great idea. I want to give it up completely. I want to give it up completely. Up to now, we've seen phrasal verbs where the object follows the phrase. Some phrasal verbs can be put either side of the object as well. I want to give it up. I want to give it up. It refers to smoking. I want to give smoking up. Or we can put the object after the phrasal verb. I want to give up smoking. I want to give up smoking. That's a great idea. As I mentioned, it's not possible to give you any rules about when to do this. Unfortunately, you have to become familiar and comfortable with the phrasal verbs through using them and through practice. Notice also the pronunciation. Give it up. Give it up. It all just runs into one word. Give it up. The it up sounds almost like a D. It up. Give it up. Nice work. I would also like to cut out sugar from my diet. So he wants to stop eating sugar completely. That could be tough. I found out recently that my father has cancer. That's not good news. Remember that phrasal verbs are verbs, which means they take a tense and will change according to whether it's the past, present, or future. So in this case, he found out his dad has cancer. Found. It's the past tense of find, which is an irregular verb. So there you go. 6 commonly used phrasal verbs that I'm sure will impress your IELTS examiner. Phrasal verbs are really important both for spoken and written English, and they can make you sound more natural. So even if you're not taking the IELTS, it's really important to build up a base of some basic phrasal verbs. I hope you can start using these phrasal verbs right away. A word of warning though, you really need to practice these as much as you can. They have to sound natural. If they don't, it can actually have a negative effect. So only use the ones that you are confident about and that you can use naturally. And that takes practice. You can also go to my website at organicenglish.club, where you'll find plenty of other material to help you become more fluent in English. Thank you very much for watching. Now go out and practice your phrasal verbs.